I'm Liana, the owner of What Noses Pet Sitting.
And I'm Gabby, the manager of What Noses Pet Sitting.
And we are live today to answer some of our top questions that we get. Basically, I was out the other day at Pooter Feed, which is our local feed supply place, which I love, adore them, and one of the employees was asking me some questions. So we thought maybe we should just take the questions that we got and answer them here for everyone in case anybody else was curious. So we're just going to do a series of questions, and then if anybody else has questions or comments for us, we welcome them. So we'll be here for a little while. My dog is also here off camera throwing us his tennis ball and his frisbee. So if you happen to see a dog pop into the screen, that's why. Huh. Yeah, he's not having much of this. All right, so first off, so Gabby, how does this work? How does pet sitting with What Noses Pet Sitting work? Like, do you go to people's houses or what do you do?
So we are an in-home pet sitting company. Everyone, all of our sitters come to our clients' homes. We don't bring any of our pets into our clients' homes, and we don't keep them at our homes. So it's super convenient for our customers. We come to you and your animals get to stay in their safe, happy environment. There's not extra stress put on them, and it just makes for healthier, happier pets.
So somebody will actually come to your home multiple times a day?
Absolutely. So depending on your pet's needs, we'll create a custom schedule for you, and we'll schedule anything from, once or twice a day for kitties, every day, and for dogs, we'll do something like 2 to 5 times a day if needed, and even overnight as well.
Somebody will actually stay at somebody's house overnight?
Absolutely. And, we actually find that some cat owners want overnight visits as well.
Interesting.
And so we have been seeing a lot of those recently, but most of our overnight sitters stay for dogs.
That's neat. Very
Yeah.
cool. All right, what else do we get? How many sitters do we have?
So I believe we currently have about 8 or 9 sitters on staff. In the pet sitting industry, they turn over, but we always try to keep our sitters with us for at least a year or two.
So they get to know the clients, get to know the pets,
Yeah.
get very good at their jobs.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And all of our sitters absolutely love their jobs. If you ask any one of them, they'll tell you it's the best job in the world.
They're a pretty fantastic group.
Yeah.
We love them.
So what kind of animals do we
And we're
sit for?
hiring.
Oh!
We're hiring, right?
We are hiring.
Where are we looking for another sitter?
We're looking for sitters in Fort Collins and Loveland. And the catch is we need you to be available for overnights. And that doesn't mean you have to be available for overnights every single night of the week, 365 days a year. Some clients have appointments that are one night long, some, a week long. It just depends. We want you to have typical daytime availability to stop in, feed breakfast, feed dinner. But if you have overnight availability, that is a huge plus and a huge help for us. And you also make more and spend more time with the animals.
Yeah. I always loved staying overnight. That was my favorite.
Yep.
That was my favorite thing. I do not do visits very regularly anymore. That overnight stays were always my favorite. So, should I answer the next one?
Yeah.
So what kind of animals do we watch? So, of course, most commonly dogs. Dogs are our biggest client. We do watch a ton of cats. They're a close second. So a lot of people in Fort Collins have cats. Fort Collins in general is a very animal-friendly area. So we have a lot of clients. We also do, I think the next runner-up after dogs and cats is chickens. We have a lot of chicken clients. They're becoming more popular, especially here in Fort Collins.
Yep,
since people can have them in their backyards. So that's pretty common. We also do some specializing in parrots, so we have a fair bit of clients that have parrots, and then we have all the oddball things.
We have reptiles, horses. I think we've even had clients that have had pigs and tortoises. Gosh.
I was going to answer that question.
Yes.
What's the most fun animal I have ever watched, or most unique animal? So, most unique animal I have ever watched. Back when I was doing lots and lots of visits myself. I had a client that had dogs. She didn't have any cats, but she had dogs, parrots, guinea pigs, all sorts of critters. 2 pot-bellied pigs that went in and out of, she had a basement that was finished for them, so they would go in and out of the basement into the backyard with a dog door.
That is so cool.
They were the best. But her coolest, most unique pet was a massive tortoise. He was like, he was huge. Wow. I mean, and we're talking like a big.
That's incredible.
Tortoise. And she'd rescued him from someone that didn't understand that he was going to get that big. Like most people don't understand that turtles and tortoises can be very large depending upon the species. So she had rescued him, and he would go out in the backyard with the dogs and the pigs.
That is so fun.
And so you'd be outside playing with the animals and stuff, and all of a sudden you'd turn around and there'd be this tortoise standing behind you, and he would follow you around the yard like a dog.
Oh my gosh.
He was so cool, and he was his head was like knee height. So
oh, wow.
He was a big boy, and they'd hibernate him in the basement during the winter and stuff because you have to hibernate turtles and tortoises. A lot of reptiles hibernate, so that was
very cool.
He was like the most unique one, I think, that I've ever
great.
watched. Just because his personality, we have other turtles and stuff as customers, but yeah, he had not many of them follow you around the backyard.
No, that's definitely unique.
So that's pretty fun. So what about specific breeds? Do we have any breeds that we don't watch?
I don't think there's any breeds that we don't watch. However, there are breeds that some sitters are more educated in. I know a lot of our clients like us to have some education in specific breeds that are known as bully breeds, especially. So sitters that have experience with pit bulls and heelers that are more aggressive or aggressive tendencies that people know of, but the animals don't actually have. People usually like us to have experience just for their peace of mind, knowing that their animals are going to be well taken care of. All of our sitters are wonderful with all the animals that they watch, but we always like to make sure there's the best fit possible.
Sure. And that goes for species as well. So if we have somebody who has horses, we make sure that the sitter has horse experience. Same thing with parrots.
Absolutely.
So if we can match somebody really well. Also, some of our sitters, some are better with shy animals, and some are better with cats and things like that. So we try to match those as well as we possibly can. I'm looking down here because my dog is throwing his toy at my feet.
So whenever a customer calls and asks us, do your sitters have experience with shy animals? A lot of them actually have had experience with all kinds of animals, but shy and more timid animals, we definitely have sitters that are more patient than others, that know how to work with them and when to step away and just give the animals some space and let them come to us.
A lot of it's just more experience and stuff about how to handle those. Some people naturally have more boisterous personalities, which matches a little bit better maybe to a dog that has... The dog that's very enthusiastic or something.
My dog, for
Your
example.
Dog?
My dog is a young 2-year-old shepherd, and
yes,
he loves people who are energetic, have high-pitched voices, and if you are just lurking in the background, he'll be a little bit more timid of you than someone who is more energetic. So you always want to find that best fit possible.
Absolutely. So we try to match that as best as possible. All right, so let's see what other questions we have. We've got some written down here. So... If a person has a dog door, can they use the dog door?
So we ask that if you have a dog door, the dogs can go in and out throughout the day if you're comfortable. I know some of our customers, even if they have a dog door, they don't want it open during the day or during the night. Especially in Fort Collins, we have a lot of raccoons and fox that make their way around the neighborhood. Skunks, absolutely.
Especially with all the rabies issues that have popped up in recent years. Yep.
So when we're not at the client's home or the customers aren't home, we like to close those dog doors sometimes unless we're instructed to keep them open. But if a client has dog doors, we're comfortable with letting the dog go, 12 hours at a time. So we'll come in for breakfast and then we'll come in for dinner or a late evening visit. But we always want to come in at least twice a day, even if you have a dog door, just to make sure everyone's happy and healthy, well taken care of.
And we prefer to do more visits. If possible, we always prefer at least 3 visits a day for dogs. So we think that is what keeps them happy and healthy and sane while you're gone. So that's definitely our preference. But some people want less than that, and we try to accommodate when possible if we need to. Let's see. Should we skip to minimum number of visits?
Yeah.
Because we just kind of addressed that. What about cats? How many visits?
Cats, we require at least 1 visit per day, and we typically say, 30 minutes for a cat. If you have a shy cat, typically 15 minutes or, that's the average time for a shy cat, just so we can make sure to get our chores done, the regular things like feeding, water, litter, and if we can get some playtime, that's always wonderful. But, some cats, they just don't want to have strangers in the house, and so they kind of just shy away, do their own thing.
But for friendly cats, my cat, my God, my cat gets overnights and visits during the day when I'm gone.
Needy cat.
My cat is a needy cat. so everybody's cats are a little bit different. And that is one thing that we always try to emphasize with people. We really try to match visits to your household. So depending upon your pets and what your normal schedule is and your routine, we really try to fit that as much as possible. It's never going to be exactly the same as when you're home, but we can get pretty dang close. So we try to do that. Your pets are going to be happier, and everything's going to go better, and they're going to be more relaxed that way. So that's always better.
Yeah. So what is our minimum for dogs then?
So our minimum for dogs, if they have a dog door and outdoor access, is 2 visits a day. For dogs that do not have outdoor access, we really encourage 3 times a day. We sometimes will negotiate on that, but we're pretty well set on 3 visits a day for dogs that don't have dog doors. So we really don't. I wouldn't want to go more than 8 hours without going to the bathroom. So I don't want to ask that of a dog in our care. That seems like a lot. Especially sometimes people don't really think about how often they let their dogs out until they really have to count.
Absolutely.
And the other thing, to ask my dog, he goes out like 12 times a day. So
yeah, and the other thing we want to consider is how old the dog is.
Yes.
So if you have a puppy, you want to make sure that the puppy's going out enough. You don't want to keep them kenneled and have accidents in the kennel, or maybe have accidents in the house. And you want to make sure that you get on a routine, especially with puppies. You want to make sure that they know where to go to the bathroom and when they can go to the bathroom. So again, having that sitter stay on your normal puppy potty schedule is always great. So, we've been getting a lot of calls from people with puppies. It's springtime. Exactly. So it's springtime and puppies are all around now. So we've been getting a lot of puppy visits, and we just want to make sure that we keep your puppies happy and comfortable and keep them on their routine.
Absolutely, and it's good for their health as well. For sometimes when dogs get a little bit older, they can stand to go a few less times a day, but generally, the more that you can do, the better, huh? Yeah. My dog's sitting making happy faces. I feel like we should show him.
Yeah,
should we show him? Here, let's look at Podrick, because Podrick's cute. I'm going to flip the camera around. There's Podrick. And
being a good boy.
There's his ball. He's been getting us to throw his ball while we're doing this. Yeah, he's very happy that we're here having fun. Because he does not care about us doing camera work. He just wants to play.
Good boy.
All right, flip this camera back around, see if we can get this positioned again without falling on us. Okay, all right. Pin that there a little bit. Okay.
So let's talk about drive time to appointments and why we require, like a 15-minute appointment for a cat that doesn't want to be seen or played with.
Sure. That's pretty straightforward. So our sitters are driving to your house, and no matter whether they have to be there for 5 minutes or 15 minutes, we still have to pay them the same, and they still have their time, and their time is valuable. So we always do, our minimum length of visit is 15 minutes, which industry-wide is actually, some companies don't offer a 15-minute visit. We do still offer that simply for really quick dog stop-ins if a dog needs a quick potty break during the day, or for cats that...
even small animals too.
Sure,
we have hamsters, guinea pigs, rabbits. Those are small,
chickens,
short visits. Yes.
Will you? That's a common thing too.
Yes.
Why do I have to pay for long chicken visits?
Yes.
The fact of the matter is we have a minimum length of visit, and that's simply so that we can compensate the sitters for their time driving, because the time is not just spent when they're at your house. They have to usually drive to and from. Not usually. Always have to drive to and from. They're not going to get there otherwise. So we have to make sure that they get enough money for that. Our sitters are professionals, and so we really like to make sure that they're going to stay with us as long as possible. And the cost of living in Fort Collins is going up and up and up.
Anyone who lives in Fort Collins and Loveland and lived here for a while, they're aware of the cost of living rising. And,
yes.
And so, the other thing is our sitters are employees. They're not just independent contractors, and they're not just the neighborhood kid off the street. They are actual employees, so we have to make sure they are compensated.
Yeah, they get... I know this is... we weren't going to talk about this, but insurance and bonding and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, because as a company, we're insured and bonded, so we provide that. We provide workman's comp for our employees. We provide car insurance for our employees. So they get a bunch of stuff covered, and which is great. It's good for you. It's good for us. It's good for the sitters. So we just need to make sure that they get their adequate number of visits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specific time for visits. So that's a common question. I want my sitter to come at noon, right at noon. Nothing else but noon.
So I hear this pretty frequently with people calling saying they want a midday potty break. They're leaving for work at 7, 8 in the morning, and they're coming back at 5 or 6 in the evening. So I want my dog to be taken out for a walk and go to the bathroom directly at noon. So from noon to 12:30, you're going to be with my dog. And my answer is we try to accommodate that as best as possible. However, you have to understand that our sitters are coming into multiple homes. It's not just your home that they're coming into once a day.
And animals are unpredictable.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, one day you might be out on a visit and it might take exactly 30 minutes. The other day, well,
the dog has gotten to the bathroom in
Yes.
the crate, and you need to spend an extra 20 minutes cleaning the crate, and then you're 20 minutes late for your next appointment.
we just ask that you be respectful of our time and, be very flexible when it comes to that. We always say that we allow that, usually a 2-hour time frame for our sitters to come to your visit. If you would like us to specify a specific time frame due to medications, though.
Sure.
Dogs or cats with
Diabetic.
insulin, insulin needs or medications, we always try to specify a specific time that your sitter will come, and we'll make that a top priority in their schedule.
Yeah. Otherwise, what we do, so using the noon as a good example, we might say your time block is from 11 to 1, and your sitter's going to be there during that time, and then your sitter will make that time. So it'll be sometime between 11 and 1, and generally it's going to overlap that noon time frame, and if at all possible, they will hit that noon schedule, but it'll just depend upon the day. And truth be told, ideally, everybody who has midday dog walks wants a noon time frame.
Definitely the most popular option.
So we try to accommodate as many people as possible and get everybody in there, and we do that by using those time frames, so that works out. That generally works out pretty well for everybody.
Yeah.
So, what else can we answer? Will you drive to take my dog to the vet, or to get groomed, or whatever else?
So that's another question I get asked really frequently is, can you take my dog to this appointment? They only have openings during the day when I'm at work. So unfortunately, we don't do transportation services. We aren't licensed to transport animals.
In the state of Colorado, you have to have a vehicle license with a approved vehicle that has to be inspected in order to transport to appointments for pay like that. So,
however, if your animal does have a certain emergency veterinary need, so if we come into your home and your animal is unconscious on the floor and is seizing or will do anything necessary,
of course, we'll go to the vet.
Yes, absolutely.
We will definitely go to the vet.
Yes.
So if you have a medical emergency with your pet while we are watching them, we will definitely take them to the vet. But for normal, just routine care scheduled, we do not do those visits. There are other pet sitters in the area that definitely do, and there is a pet transport company that does that. So there are other ways. Unfortunately, we just are not able to do that right now.
And that tags along with the other question I get is, will you take my dog to daycare? So
Same thing.
Same idea. I know other people have called asking for us to take their dog to boarding facilities while we do potty breaks during the day. Again, same idea. You just need to make sure you find the best fit possible for you and your pets. So feel free to always contact us and see if we are the best fit for your pets.
Yeah, so sometimes people work other things out. I did have one client that did daycare during the day, and they just had an employee from the daycare come and pick up the dog, and then we did all the evening care and stuff. So that worked out. We will share some stuff like that. We just get all the information. So that worked out pretty well for that client. Very sunny here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like glowing. Okay. Let's see. Tips? Want to talk about tips?
Yeah. So most of our clients tip our sitters. They want to tip them for their good service. We find that most of the time the clients that tip usually have used us on a regular basis and have known their sitters for a little bit while before they've tipped. But sometimes we find that new customers tip on the first visit. And I think
there's no expectations for tips. There is no difference there in service or anything. I know that that's sometimes a concern for people. A lot of times people will, like she said, not tip until the third or fourth time they've used us, if at all. Some people never tip, and that is totally fine with us. So that is an individual decision made for your house and your pets and your family. And yeah, so everybody's a little bit different on that one.
Yeah.
What other questions can we answer? What else should we discuss? What was the most unique animal you ever watched?
Oh, goodness. The most unique animal was probably, I would say a cat that vomited every visit. So not a unique animal per se, but just a unique cat.
Yeah.
So I remember it was probably when I first started pet sitting with, previously we were Side Hill sitters, and I remember, gosh, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I walked in and this cat had vomited all over the house, and it was a 2-story home, and it was all carpet.
Oh.
And so it was just once a day,
Poor
15-minute
kitty.
visits in the morning for breakfast. And I remember this cat just vomited everywhere.
Was that a health problem? Do you know?
I don't know, actually. And,
Interesting.
you know, it's been a while since we've seen that cat, so I don't know how that cat's doing now, but I will never forget. I walked in, and I was a student at CSU at the time, so I always had 8 a.m. classes, so I would go right at 6:30, 7 in the morning to do this visit. And every morning would start
That
out
poor
with cleaning
kitty.
up cat vomit all over the floor. And luckily, the cat was okay, I think, at the time, but I don't know. It might have turned
Yeah.
into a health issue, but
Yeah.
at the time, it wasn't.
Interesting. That's yeah, some cats.
Yeah.
Cats. There's like a running joke, right, about cats throwing up and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but every visit, that's a lot. Poor kitty.
Yeah.
What else can we answer today? Do you think of any other questions we should answer? Nobody has any questions for us. I know one person is watching at least. Someone is watching. No, nobody has any questions. That's okay.
So maybe I'll talk about, you know, just the pets that I've had in the past.
Sure, go
and
for it.
My pets' personalities. So I always have to have difficult animals. I don't know, maybe that goes along with just having a ton of animal experience and being a complete animal lover. And maybe just a complete nut. I don't know. But I
A little
always,
bit of both.
Yeah, I always tend to have animals that have special needs or very needy personalities. So both of my pets, I have a cat and a dog. My dog's name is Jax, and he's a little 2-year-old shepherd mix. My cat's name is Samson, and he's a 4-year-old that I rescued from the cat rescue here in Fort Collins. And both of them have medical issues. My cat, he has been to the vet probably, gosh, more times than I can count. I'm not going. And my dog is an allergy dog. So
Yeah.
we all know how that goes. And he gets into everything possible. But my animals have always been terrific. They've always been love bugs, and I always
funny.
just want love and attention.
Yeah.
And growing up, I always had every animal on the planet too. Gosh, fish. I've had some. Gosh, I actually remember having a turtle when I was a kid. Didn't last very long, unfortunately. I didn't know how to care for turtles, but they're always great pets to have. And I've always
Yeah.
had cats growing up, hamsters, rabbit. My rabbit was probably my favorite pet I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
House
my
rabbits
little.
are awesome.
Yeah, he was my little black and white bunny named Oreo. It's very creative.
We didn't
name.
even mention that in the list of pets. We
Yes.
watch a fair number of house rabbits.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a typical thing.
Yeah.
That's fun. So right now you just have the dog and cat?
Yeah, right now just a dog and cat, and we're hoping to adopt another dog here soon, but you know how life
Gotta
goes.
find the right fit.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. So yeah, I guess I could answer what I have. So I have my dog who's playing at our feet here. I also have a kitty who, just like Gabby, I also have pretty much high special needs pets. So I have a cat who is at least 18 years old, probably more like 20. She was adopted at one of those interim ages where she could have been 2 or 8 and you just don't know. But she's at least 18, 19 years old. So she's got some health problems of her own going on. She's super social. I'm actually kind of surprised she hasn't come to join us as we've been talking. I have a fish tank. What else? Oh, I have a chameleon too. So if people have looked online, I've posted pictures and videos of my chameleon. So he's probably the most high maintenance because chameleons need a really high humidity in their tanks and their caging, and of course
we're in Colorado.
We're in Colorado. Yeah, so that takes a little bit of work to keep him humid enough, and he has a massive cage with live plants in it and stuff. So
Very cool.
But he's a really neat personality. I really like him. And of course, along with that, I've started trying to breed the insects that he eats, which is a total other task. So now I'm trying to raise crickets and superworms and stuff, which is
Interesting.
a thing. It's a thing. I haven't been super successful thus far, but I'm working on it. And they really like warm temperatures, but keeping them in the 80s here in Colorado is also hard during winter.
Yes.
So I'm working on that. So that's fun.
Very fun.
In the past, what have I had? In the past, I grew up with hamster and dogs and cats. In fact, I grew up with probably no less than 5 pets in the house at any given time. Right now, my dog is pretty happy being an only dog, and my cat hates other cats. So we only have one cat. And then, but yeah, I grew up having at least 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 cats at a time, and a couple dogs at a time, and had a parakeet, hamster, that kind of, you know, normal kid
Absolutely.
pets.
Yep.
Yeah. Had those growing up. And I did a lot of fostering, though. I've done so much fostering. So I've had a lot of different dogs. I've done fostering for different, you know, Rottweiler rescues. My dogs before were a Rottweiler and a Dalmatian. So I did all sorts of different fostering for different groups. And we even fostered for wild kinds. So I fostered snakes for a while.
Oh, wow.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, we'd get big pythons and stuff that, for whatever reason, those were always pretty unique cases. So we'd have things like that. So that was a lot of fun. So we've had a lot of different animals through here. And then, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we switched to fostering human children. So then we had fewer animals in the house because human kids take a little bit more time.
Yep.
So
That's why I just have my fur kids right now.
yeah. So I think eventually we'll get back to doing more fostering of different animals, but I had to be a little bit more cautious with human kids around. Can't bring in a fear aggressive Rottweiler
Yeah.
when you've got kids. So and not as easily. So that was a bigger thing. But
Yeah.
so that was what I specialized in for a while. We would take really shy dogs in really awkward breeds.
Interesting.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's probably all the questions we've had ready.
Yeah. That's everything I can think of.
All right. Well, thank you for whoever joined us. I saw some people hopping on and off, and thank you for anybody who watched the replay of this video. And we will be doing Q&As more regularly, and we're making other videos as well. So if there are any things that you have questions about, just go ahead and post your questions or send them on to us, and we will either answer it live on Facebook like this, or we will post another video or something to get the answer to you. So we're always looking for new ideas about what everybody else wants to know. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.
Oh, Patrick wants to say bye too. See this. Patrick says bye. He's still there playing with the ball. It's all about balls when you're a herding breed. Yeah. It's all about the cute toys and the balls. Yeah. There's a good boy. All right. Thanks, everyone.